If you ever wanted spiritual teachings on oneness, this is it right here. Like, if we ever wanted a section of spiritual knowledge or teaching in the world that says we are all one, that we should see everybody equally, this is the area of study that we could speak for in the world. Whether a person says, oh, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Sikh, I'm a Jain, I'm a Muslim. No, we should be the people who says we are all one. We are all one. Whether you pray to Jesus or Ram, it's all one. And that equalness of vision that the Gita talks about doesn't allow you to see another living being as lesser than you or greater. We're all one. Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you all for being here. We have traditionally seen that the Gita is split into 3 sections. The first 6, the second 6, and the third 6. The first 6 lays the foundation for how we can create a model for our life, the basis and foundation. And we've heard Krishna talk a lot about how we should see action. So the first 6 is defined, I would say, by how we can act in the world. Chapter 2 describes how a yogi lives, how a yogi acts. We've seen chapter 4 talk about how we can offer in the world and how everything should be a sacred offering in our life. We've seen this throughout. And although Krishna will explore different ideas throughout all of the chapters, the core theme of the first 6 chapters is around how we can act in the world. The next 6 chapters will have an underlying theme of love, devotion, offering. And although, again, we'll go into action and we'll go into meditation and we'll go into other areas, chapter 7 onwards covers more about love, devotion, bhakti yoga. And chapter 12 ends with a whole chapter on bhakti yoga, which is extraordinarily beautiful. And then the last 6 chapters is wisdom, our life. So I think if you think about it in terms of that, how to act, how to love, and how to be wise, we have that as the core themes of the Gita for our journey within. So the first verse of chapter 6, which is Dhyana Yoga. Those who perform their duty without seeking results are truly renounced, are yogis, and not those who light no fire or perform work. So what does that mean? The not those who perform no rituals, no fire offering, or no work in the world in terms of karma yoga. So you might, Krishna's referring to those who are ritualists who achieve their moksha, their liberation, their enlightenment, and their purpose through their ritual practice, or the people who work in the world for a greater world. So sannyasa, renunciation, is not going off to the forest. It's working in the world, but performing that without the results being truly attached. Understand that yoga and renunciation are the same, for no one can become a yogi without giving up the conception of oneself as the enjoyer. Sankalpa. Let's see. Yeah, sankalpo bhog yogi bhavati kaschanaha. There's the identification of ourself, our body, as the enjoyer of the work. Whereas if we look at Hanuman, all he wants to do is serve Ram, Ramakaj. He just wants to keep serving Ram. How do I please Ram? Oh, I just constantly want to please Ram. This is something that would please Ram. Let me do this. He's not thinking about himself as the Bhog, the enjoyer of the food. He's thinking about food as nourishing this body so that he can be offering it to God. He just wants to offer everything he does to God. This is interesting. Verse 3: activity is said to be the means for the sage who undertakes the discipline of yoga, but meditation is the means for the one who has attained such a yoga. When a person no longer clings to the objects of the senses or to actions, having renounced all conception of oneself as the enjoyer, one is said to have attained yoga. The word used is sama, which literally means to become quiet or tranquil, as well as to restrain the passions. Sama, in terms of meditation, again, Krishna is talking not about sitting cross-legged, sitting cross-legged, and the meditation practice that we do in the morning or the evening to calm our minds. He's talking about a state of living in the world at peace with our actions. So we're not like, oh, this is such a crazy day. I've done this and I've done that. I've been doing nothing but meditating all day. So like today, I've had probably 10 meetings today, 4 or 5 in-person ones, a lunch meeting, travel to London, back again, Gita class, an hour in the thing, and then, a few more to go before the end of the day. But I've done nothing but Ram, 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 Ram. And you sleep at knowing that you've done 10 hours of meditation. How do we get to that state? Where all I've been doing is Ram Nam all day and serving and loving and feeding and loving and serving and loving and feeding and loving. And it's just all another offering to Ram in a different form. And we celebrate that beauty of that form. That is what Krishna is talking about as sama, meditation, not in ritual or in practice or sadhana, but as seva, as karma yoga. Okay, now we go to the mind. So now Krishna has talked about the action, and we have a very beautiful verse in verse 5. Another one, there's often many verses of the Gita that you could stick on a wall. You could print out the words of, and they're like those quotables that you could see in different places. This is one of them. A person must elevate oneself by the mind and never allow oneself to be degraded. For the mind is both one's friend as well as one's enemy. The mind that has been conquered, the mind that has been conquered becomes a friend. But one who has failed to subdue the mind, that very mind becomes one's enemy. In all circumstances, heat and cold, happiness and distress, as well as in honor and dishonor, one who has subdued the mind and achieved peace has become united with the Supreme Soul, with God, with Krishna, with Vishnu, with Ram, with Allah, with Buddha. The subdued mind becomes one with God. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. This is that of the Yoga Sutras. When the fluctuations of the mind are calm, one achieves the state of yoga. Yoga is connection with God. This is that. So a person must elevate oneself by mind and never allow oneself to be degraded. I'm just going to read something for you, which is an extensive little commentary, which is really relevant from the 3 commentators, Shankara, Madhva, and Ramanuja, which Bhagavad Das has written here on this. These verses illustrate both beauty and complexity of translating Sanskrit. Between these 2 verses, the word Atman has been used 13 times in 2 verses. Verse number 5 and verse number 6, the word Atman is used 13 times. The word Atman has many meanings in Sanskrit: soul, breath, self, oneself, mind, intellect, supreme soul, Brahman. The applied meaning is therefore both contextual and dependent on one's underlying theology. Literally, the verse reads, "A person must elevate the Atman by the Atman and not degrade the Atman, for the Atman is both the friend of the Atman as well as the Atman's enemy." That's how the word actually reads. So you can see why that verse can be used in so many different ways, like however you're interpreting the Gita. In this and the following verse, I've translated Atman as mind as well as in its reflexive sense. This follows the approach of Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya. Shankaracharya, on the other hand, follows a different approach. For Shankara, there is only one reality, Brahman, Sabek, and sometimes that one reality is also referred to by the word Atman. When this is done, many translators translate the Atman as the self, uppercase. By contrast, the illusory individual self is sometimes translated as self, lowercase. For Shankara, one might render this verse, one should elevate the self by the self and not degrade the self, for the self is the only friend of the self, as well as the self one's only enemy. Compare with the Bhagavad Gita 13:24. Okay, so I wanted to read that, and sorry for those of you who will find that a little bit complicated, because it is slightly, but to explain it a little bit from my view, here it doesn't matter if you're talking about mind or the Atman. Like, I think it doesn't matter. If you yourself, whether it's your mind or whether it's your own being, you are your own best friend and you are your own worst enemy. You will criticize yourself more than anyone else. You will congratulate yourself more than anyone else as well. So we have that control. Whether you're talking about mind or Atman, for me, that's just theological differences and arguments between different schools of understanding the Gita. Ultimately, it's how you perceive yourself. So if you see yourself as a divine being in the world, a yogi, a spiritual being serving Ram with every thought and word and deed, then that's what you are. But if you see yourself covered by uh, mistakes and wrongdoing, and I do this wrong, and I'm not good at this, and I do this very bad, and I'm very, then that's what you'll cover your own Atman with, or your mind, or your own heart. So whether you're talking about dust on the Atman or an unhappy mind, uh, I think the result is the same. You are your best friend or your worst enemy, and you can decide that Krishna says. The mind that has been conquered becomes a friend. For one who has failed to subdue the mind, that very mind becomes one's enemy. In every circumstance, heat and cold, happiness and distress, as well as in honor and dishonor, one who has subdued the mind or the Atman and achieved peace has become united with the Supreme Soul. Again, Atman is the word that's used there. The person of discipline. Remember, we're still in action mode in the Gita. The person of discipline who is complete in both knowledge and wisdom, jnana and vijnana. Jnana is knowledge, vijnana is wisdom, spiritual knowledge, you can say. The person of discipline who is both complete in wisdom, knowledge, and wisdom, whose senses are subdued, and who is situated in transcendence, so beautiful, is called a yogi. Bala buddhi vedya dehu muhi harahu kalesha bikar. Hanuman Chalisa. Bala, strength, buddhi, intellect, vedya, spiritual knowledge, wisdom. The person of discipline who is complete in both knowledge and wisdom, whose senses are subdued, and who is situated in transcendence is defined as a yogi. This is quite profound. Such a person sees a lump of earth, a stone, or a piece of gold as the same. Quite extraordinary, isn't it? If you want, if you ever wanted spiritual teachings on oneness, this is it right here. Like, if we ever wanted a section of spiritual knowledge or teaching in the world that says we are all one, that we should see everybody equally, this is the area of study that we could speak for in the world. Whether a person says, oh, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Sikh, I'm a Jain, I'm a Muslim. No, we should be the people who says we are all one. We are all one, whether you pray to Jesus or Ram, it's all one. And that equalness of vision that the Gita talks about doesn't allow you to see another living being as lesser than you or greater. We are all one. The person of discipline who is both complete in knowledge and wisdom, whose senses are subdued, who is situated in transcendence is called a yogi. Such a person sees a lump of earth and a stone and a piece of gold the same. When Hanuman, at the end of the war, everybody's receiving lots of gifts. Sugriv is given a kingdom. Vibhishan is given Sri Lanka, the kingdom of Lanka. And then Sita says, well, what about Hanuman? He's done so much. Like, he's done everything. And they gift him a necklace. And then Hanuman starts chewing this necklace, like chewing it and biting it. And then they say, well, he's just a monkey. He must be, not understanding the value of this necklace. And so the response is, Hanuman, what are you doing? This is a really precious necklace you've been given. Why are you chewing it? And he said, I'm looking for Ram's name in this necklace. It's, what is this lump of stones? What is the meaning of it for me? It doesn't have Ram's name in it. And then Lakshman says, well, what about your body then? Why don't you rip your body up? Because that doesn't have Ram inside it. And then we have that beautiful image of Hanuman opening his heart and Sita and Ram within his heart. And everybody, prays to him and says, okay, okay, we understand. So, yeah, I think that comes to me here in chapter 6, verse 8. Okay. I have been told from a few people, I've been told off recently that we are going too fast and that they want to chew the verses longer and stay more in the swimming of the Gita. So apologies if we are. Maybe you can write to me after and if I get enough people telling me we're going too fast, then I'll slow down. But if we're okay, we'll continue at this pace for now. One who sees a close friend, a companion, an enemy, a common acquaintance, an arbiter, the hateful, your own relatives, and even all that is even good in the world, and all that is evil in the world, with equal vision, is most advanced. One who sees a close friend, a companion, a common acquaintance, an arbiter, the hateful, one's relatives, and even all that is good or evil with equal vision is most advanced. Sama buddhir visishyate. Sama buddhir, seeing them all the same. Okay, what is meditation? Without aspirations or possessions, the yogi should prepare oneself. Okay, so this sameness of vision is now complete. Now Krishna is saying we must see everybody equal. Very difficult to do, isn't it? There's so much suffering in the world, so much evil in the world. Note that Krishna is not saying that you shouldn't act for goodness in the world. You shouldn't. He's still telling Arjuna to fight the war, but he's see the sameness of vision. Ultimately, that it's all existing within God's body. That this is all in the divine realm. That ultimately it's all one. So even Ravana was a great yogi, and Ram, in fact, recently when we were in India, we visited this beautiful sun temple in Gujarat, and apparently Sita and Ram visited this forest, the Dharmalaya forest, in that place. And at that place, it was said that Ram and Sita did a puja to atone for the killing of Ravana because he was a great yogi. So they considered him a great yogi, even though he was so wicked. And he even kidnapped Sita, took her to Lanka, did so many wicked things, killed so many people, was so evil in many ways. But still, they consider him a great yogi. Without aspirations or possessions, the yogi should prepare oneself in a secluded place and practice controlling mind and body. Now we're talking about actual physical practice of meditation. Up till now, sama, the meditation has been the action that we do in the world. Establishing oneself in a sacred place on a firm seat, neither too high, not too low, covered in cloth, sacred grass, the yogi should fix the mind on a single point and control one's thoughts and senses. Sitting on that seat, let one practice the discipline of yoga for self purification. This is yoga teaching we're getting here in terms of an asana. The first reference, first time in mention in Bhagavad Gita, asana. Stiram asanam atmanaha. Sitting, uh, with the mind and heart fixed on a single point. That could be a candle, a flame. That could be Ram Nam. That could be a single point. So Krishna doesn't say what point, but he gives a single point that we should fix the mind and Atman on. Holding the body, the neck and the head in a straight line, remaining still, motionless, and fixed, gazing on the tip of the nose, so almost kind of, with that gazing position that you often see yogis with the half eyes open, gazing low. You often see images even of the Buddha sitting with his kind of slight eyes opened. Holding the body, neck, and head in a straight line, remaining motionless and fixed, gazing on the tip of the nose without looking in any other direction. With a peaceful mind and without fear, the yogi should become fixed in the mind, here it says vow of celibacy, and control the mind with thoughts focused on me. So really being self-disciplined basically is what it's talking about, and kind of sitting in meditation practice and focused on God. Ever disciplined in this way, the yogi with controlled mind attains to peace that comes from the cessation of material activities, the peace that comes from doing stuff in the world. So, the first part of this chapter, we really talked about meditation in action. Now he's talking about meditation as we would be familiar with it. And it's really some of the earliest teachings of meditation in the world. Really extraordinary. The Mahabharata has some of the earliest teachings of yoga in the world. Ever disciplined in this way, the yogi controlled with mind attains to the peace that comes from the cessation of material activities. Such peace arises from my nature. The peace comes from God because your your senses are not chasing all of that stuff out there. You're now going into God presence and being in that Maharaji space where Maharaji lives. You're automatically get peace and happiness and love and bliss, because from that place everything is perfect. The Isha Upanishad, you know, Ishav Ishavasam Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Ishavasyam. It's God that covers everything. So if God is within and every aspect of this world and everything that we're doing, then ultimately everything is perfect. In the realm of activity, there's a lot of up and down that goes on. But we're again going back to that. O Arjuna, the discipline of yoga never arises for one who eats too much or eats too little, who sleeps too much or sleeps too little. The middle path. The discipline of yoga, which removes all suffering. Again, Krishna is using that term, removes all suffering, twice. O Arjuna, the discipline of yoga never arises for one who eats too much or eats too little, who sleeps too much or sleeps too little. The discipline of yoga, which removes all suffering, only arises for one who is regulated in food, in recreation, whose activities are moderate, who is disciplined in sleep and wakefulness. One is said to have attained to the discipline of yoga when the controlled mind has become fixed on the soul and alone is free from all desires. I'm actually going to pause on the next verse because it's really worth us, thinking about this. Think about this image. As a lamp is situated in a windless place which never wavers, so the yogi who disciplines the mind never wavers. Yogam Atmana, the yoga of the Atman, is a similar, sometimes often called this title. As a lamp is situated in a place with no wind, which never wavers, so a yogi, their mind will never waver, because they have achieved a state where they are at peace with the world. And they are in the world, working in the world, but not of the world. That's the state. Let me see. Yeah. I think we can pause on that. I mean, we've covered a lot of really important material of the Bhagavad Gita. Physical practice, sadhana, mental state, how to meditate. In these verses are very much around action. Krishna's even telling you how to sit, how to keep your head position, how to keep your neck. A lot of, important material. But for me, it's those verses in 8 and 9 are so powerful that, you know, let's just understand that God's view is one, that we are all one. And where people are saying that, okay, these are God's people and these are not God's people, these are the believers and these are the non-believers, we transcend that. We embrace a worldview where no, it's not believer and non-believer. It's all sabek. A belief doesn't make you better. It's how you act. It's how you treat other people. And when I first became really crazy on this journey of exploring uh, Hinduism and Maharaji and all of the yoga teachings, I studied every book I could find. And I spent a lot of time with my co-author, Dr. Nicholas Sutton, who wrote those 3 books with us. And I asked him, Nick, what's it all about? Like, what is this path all about? What is the path of Sanatana Dharma ultimately saying? What is the Mahabharata saying? What is the Gita saying? What is it? And he said something, ultimately, I believe it's about being a good human being first. Being kind to those around you, being a center of compassion, friendliness, kind to those around you. And that really struck me as the essence of Dharma is compassion, at that moment. And at a similar time, or maybe a year or two later, I was in Rishikesh with Krishna Das and Siddhima. And we were there for a few months, and I was sitting, it was a beautiful sunny day. I can remember it like anything. I was sitting in front of the Hanuman Murti with Krishna Das. We were both on the wall, and I asked him the same question. Krishna Das, what is this all about? Maharaji, Siddhima, this beautiful saint here, and we were all sitting here and like, be kind to others, be a good person, good human being. So, from an academic worldview and, looking at what Nick has studied, his PhD on the Mahabharata and his exploration of Sanskrit texts and all of the work that I've explored with Oxford Center for Hindu Studies and all of these books and everything, ultimately, be a good human being. And Maharaji, and the essence of bhakti and love and kindness and compassion that he was talking about, they all both met at the same place. So, this is all training in being human. Uh, um, and for us, I feel the Gita in these 8 and 9 verses of chapter 6, really like the jewel of this section is that we elevate, ourself by ourself. If we want to make our life better, we've got that control. If we want to make it worse, we can make it worse. And if we want to see everyone equally, we can see everyone equally. Okay. So we can pause there.